What about you? 2016 Audi A4 shooting brake on the S line. You'll see why that's important in a wee while. I'll have a wee look. Let me see. Many miles on it there? 56,000 on the clock. So this car has appeared on the channel before. Let's slide in here. And there's been a few things I've done to this car. Put a water pump in it, and I did a video on this start button. Was giving them trouble. So that was maybe about a year ago or something like that. I'll put the date on the screen here, and I'll show you. I had basically the most of this all out at one stage. And I can honestly say the fault has never returned relating to this start-stop button, because whenever I actually found a fault, just cleaned up all the connections and all that, and fault never returned. So a wee update on that video. Right, so the car up in the air, and I'll link that video with the start-stop button up here in the cards if you're interested. And this video is for broken rear spring. So you might say, oh, not an R spring video. Well, this one might be a wee bit different. This is a B9 chassis, and it's on an estate car. So the rear end of these B9s is different from the B8s and the B7s. So we'll have a multi-link type arrangement instead of wishbone. So we have a link there at the front, link there, oh, sorry, that's the back, link there, and the same link there. That's the anti-roll bar. And a link there, and we have a busted one there on the back. Now this guy doesn't tow, he doesn't carry weights in the boot or anything like that. So this one here is just, let's see if I can get you in there. You see that? There's it there. So it's just broke at the bottom there, and well, so the S-line thing is what I've sort of found out. I think more or less, it mightn't be 100% of the time, but the S-line means basically that the thing has sport suspension. So when you're ordering springs, they'll ask you, has it got sport suspension? And if it's an S-line, well, take it that the answer to that is yes. So we'll have to get a couple of plastics off here, off this arm first of all, and we'll get to it. So we'll start off, I'll take you through this side, the non-broken spring. So we'll have this aluminium trailing arm here, if you want to call it that, and it sits in this rubber mount, which even though this is the good side, you can see that this here is kind of perished. So we'll get rid of this plastic thing. So this is the front side of those two bolts. That's the shock absorber, and that's the lower bolt in the hub. And this arm will not clear. You see this bit that my finger's in? So that won't come right down. Now you can still, you can still do it. There's another couple of bolts. You could take out this one here as well, and you can push the bottom of this hub out the way, and it will clear it. But you're giving yourself more work. Oh, loud noises. So there we go. It didn't hardly move at all. If anything, it went up a wee bit. Right, well, that's all right. So the shock disconnect at the bottom, it allows a wee bit of movement sort of this way. Not very much, because it's going to hit the top of the the knuckle there, the hub assembly. So but what we'll have now is there's a wee bit of movement in that. So I want to push that down, and I don't want to really push it down too much. I just want to hold it there, because whenever you squeeze the spring, this will want to go up into its sort of natural ride height position, you know. So with the top of the porta power, just onto into the lip of the aluminium strut mount there, and have it sitting down here in one of the arms. So we'll just extend that, give her a bit of a pump. That'll do me. So doing all that allows me to get my squeezers in there, so the shock can come forward very slightly, and you know, with the spring now sort of expanded, I can get my squeezers in there. So happy days. So this is what I think is the important part of this video, and it's the way these springs are mounted. So there's a top mount, rubber mount, and a lower rubber mount. So see the bottom of this aluminium arm, it's completely flat. So it doesn't, the spring doesn't sit in like a recess, like other ones. This top mount will just pull out, but it does sort of clip in. It's plastic, as you can see, and there's a couple of wee spuds on it there that clip in, and you have a locator. So I don't think it's in one way, it goes in like that. That's no bother. The problem child is this bottom one. So this is what I have found with these, and it's this is the good side, you know. So this is the one that hasn't been broken, and I'll show you there's a state of the broken one in a minute. So it will come out if I give that a prize. Let's see. Maybe need a screwdriver. No. Right. Let's have a look. Oh, I only get that. Right, bottom mount then. Tried to make a bid for freedom there, and using gravity as a force. But anyway, so you have this wee spud, and you have these two things here, and you might think, oh, well, what's the crack there? There's aluminium inside this rubber, and this aluminium, as you can see, is suffering severely from aluminium oxide. And well, if they're in good nick, you could reuse them. But a crucial part of putting this spring thing in is, you know, it needs to be seated. And the reason why I'm saying that is, if these lugs here, let's see if I can get that. See between that spud and that lug, if they're sort of all worn or broken or not there or whatever, this will slide down that arm towards the shock, and could actually slide either side, because the top of that arm is completely flat. And so there it is there, and that clearly it locates in that wee spud, locates in that hole there, like that. And then the other two bits locate in that oval. But you know, if that's all buggered up, it'll not locate, you know, because it's all like puffed up with the aluminium oxide corrosion from within this component, you know. So there's a serious risk, I think, here of this spring making a bid for freedom when you're driving along the road, where it's broke or not. So this is the broken one from the broken side. So there's our broken spring, and the brake has, you know, severed this lower mount, you know. So if we get rid of the spring for a second, I'll just show you this lower mount. This lower mount is totally pin snip broken off, and let me see the inside of this here. So there's all that aluminium oxide. So there's the inside of it there. It's like a metal disc. If you can see it, that's aluminium, like, you know, it's not steel. It is metal, but it's not. And it's completely in two bits here. Can you see that? I know it's, let me see. Is that better? Take down the exposure a wee bit. You know? So, there we are. So there's that piece there that is holding, that holding that into the oval part in the arm. There's it there. It's rotted away to nothing. So if you're changing springs, this is the long and the short of it. If you're changing rear springs on these B9 chassis, you need to change these things, these lower mounts as well. And here we go, 15 quid Audi. So just shy of 30 quid for two. Not expensive in the long scheme of things. And I don't normally give part numbers out, but on this occasion, if you have a mount that looks like this, so there's those two clips there, and that's just a locator really, but it's actually clipped in with these things here, So there's the part number there, and that is 4 Mexico Oscar 512 297 Bravo. That's genuine Audi part. Not expensive. I bought that out of the dealer, not TPS, just a showroom selling very expensive cars. And this here is just covered in dirt, and there's bits of rubber still stuck to it. So we'll give that a wee dress up with a wee bit of emery, a wee bit of rub, and make it nice. So we go, let's give it a bit of a rubbing with a wee bit of paper there, a wee bit of P60. And we squirt with WD-40, we clean with a rag, that's not too bad at all. So at this point, so this is important, at this point you want to locate this into this position. You do not want to put this onto the spring, and then when you're in here try and maneuver it and try and get this into position. So this is the time to do this. This has to be located in that hole, in the big hole and the small hole. Crucial. And similarly, at this point, we'll put our top one in. So we're reusing the roll top, and because that's all right, because that's made of plastic, and it only goes on one way, so the wee spud facing you, and it should sit there, sort of. So clearly we want the stop of the spring to be on there, but we do have enough room here in here to get the squeezers in, and it'll be fine, but I might be a wee bit off, I don't know, but it doesn't matter, because I'll show you. Let me see now. So we offer it up on the top first, and we'll see now a wee bit off. Squeezers out. So because we have the lower arm pushed down, as much as we want to, we are putting tension on the bushings downwards, but that's okay. We're not turning anything. I don't know if you can see it or not, but we're about half an inch off. I can get my finger in between the stop and the end of the coil spring there. But because she's pushed down, we should be able to spin it with our hands into position. And we can't. Oh. Well, I probably could, if I really tried. Nah, not gonna work. Right, that's alright. We'll just put the squeezers back in again. And take a wee bit of tension off it, on it. Put a bit of tension on it. A bit more. put a wee bit of WD-40 around that, and on the top mount, because it's rubber there, it might pull around a wee bit by hand. Or I could maybe take a wee bit more downward travel, and it might slide around a wee bit better, but or if it swung on it, it might go around, but sure, I've just done a wee adjustment with the squeezers, and what was that like? You guys weren't at a very good angle there, but she still will come around a tiny wee bit, maybe. So you want that to be in its stop. You know? What's that like? Close? It's actually spot on. It might look like a wee bit of a gap there, but if we take you up above, there, she won't go around anymore. Dead on. So, spring installed. We're happy enough for the position, so we can dispense of our helper. So all we'll have to do is stick our shocker bolt back in again. So we'll just pull it over into alignment, give it a wee pull down. And of course, with the suspension loaded, I have her down on tables here. So with the suspension loaded, we tighten our one bolt that will loosen up. One each side. And lastly then our trim pieces. So there's these sort of hooks here. So they go up in and then slide that way. So when you're taking it off, you know, give it a push outwards and it just falls off in. Simple as that. This is manufacturer's data, so this is how the manufacturer says to do this job. So they have this special tool here, describing it as a foot pump, VAS 6179, and a fancy sort of compressor tool. And it just shows you there taking the plastic thing off. So there's four-wheel drive on this as well. So this vehicle's two-wheel drive, so it says there to remove the drive shaft. So that foot pump, in association with this spreader device, it says here, position spreader device, between upper transverse link and longitudinal member, and applied light pressure. So they're showing that to press the arm down. However, they do not say to remove the shock or disconnect the shock at the bottom bolt like I did. I just do that because it gives you that wee bit more to play with. So over on the right here, you can see the color picture of their fancy compressor type setup. It looks like a right palaver there, you know. But anyway, there's it there. So that's the way they say to do it. Let me see. We'll go on to that. So there's the top mount and the lower mount, and over on the right in the green and blue, it's saying basically to have the spring on the stops. So that's all that's really saying. Down here, the end of the spring must be positioned against the stop on the spring plate. And the positioning tabs on the spring plate must engage in the holes in the body at the top and in the holes in the transverse link rear at the bottom, as shown in an illustration. Very good. So for those guys that want torque specifications, as you saw there, I didn't. I just tightened that up, and you're supposed to renew the bolt. I did not. I would suggest that the vast majority of garages don't either, but in case you do, there's torque on number 1. So if you notice, the torques are always on the nut. So you tighten on the nut, not on the bolt. So anywho, so that nut is 70 Newton meters plus 180 degrees. That's number 1 there. So not much more to say there pertaining to this job. And let me see. If you decide to take a whole load of bolts out of the trailing arms there, they appear to be all 70 Newton meters plus 180 degrees. And what's that? Number 6 bolt. Number 6. Where's number 6? Oh, that's up there. Oh, that's the anti-roll bar there. So that's 40 Newton meters plus 180 degrees. So there you go. There's some information from the manufacturer. I'm doing something very similar, but I'm just disconnecting the shock absorber. Okay, that's it for this one. Maybe you get something out of it. And thanks very much for watching, as ever, and all the best. And bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Poppy.